Some were born in the royal blood, others married into it. By all traditions, they should have been called prince, princess, or duchess, but when the moment came, the title never followed. One royal spouse waited years, only to be denied by the queen herself. Another was promised a title at birth, then quietly removed from the list. These weren't distant relatives. They met every requirement, except one. So, what kept their titles from ever being granted? Here are 12 royals who were supposed to get a title, but never did. At number 12, we have Froilán de Marichalar of Borbón, Spain's story. In Spain, the title of Infante is usually reserved for children of the reigning monarch, and occasionally grandchildren born of the male line descent. And Froilán is the son of a daughter of the king, which technically makes him non-dynastic in terms of the traditional Spanish royal title system. That's the biggest reason he didn't automatically get the Infanta title. Froilán's father, Jaime de Marichalar, was made the, quote, Duke of Lugo, based upon his marriage to Infanta Elena, but that title was non-hereditary. It was a courtesy title meant only for the duration of the marriage. When they divorced in 2009, Jaime lost the title to Duke, and it was not passed on to Froilán. Also, King Juan Carlos I and later King Felipe VI both signaled a shift in the role and the structure of the Spanish monarchy. They focused on a leaner royal family with fewer active royals, emphasizing working royals who would only hold titles and privileges. Froilán, while high profile, was never expected to carry out royal duties, so there was no justification to grant him a title in modern post-crisis Spain. Also, Froilán has made headlines more for parties, fights, and tabloid scandals than for statesmanship. Even if there had been some royal intention to formalize his status, his wild child rep didn't exactly scream Duke material. At number 11, we have Zara Tindall of the UK's story. By royal protocol, only male-line grandchildren of a monarch are automatically entitled to be prince or princess, with the stylizing of his or her royal highness. Zara's father, Mark Phillips, was a commoner. Therefore, no HRH and no Princess Zara. Queen Elizabeth II reportedly offered Zara and Peter royal titles at birth, but Princess Anne declined the offer. Anne has always wanted her children to live normal lives, free of the scrutiny, formality, and expectations that come with royal titles. On top of that, Zara could have gotten a courtesy title if her dad had accepted a peerage when he married Princess Anne, but Captain Mark Phillips also refused the title. So no peerage means that Lady Zara, and no HRH means no Princess Zara. Even in the 1980s, the royal family was starting to tighten its ranks, slowly preparing for the lean monarchy concept we see today under King Charles III. Titles were no longer dished out like royal party favors. Anne saw what was coming and made sure Zara wasn't trapped in a system that was changing anyway. So Zara pursued a career in equestrian sports and even won a silver medal at the 2012 Olympics. She's done endorsements and sponsorships. She has relative media freedom compared to her cousins like Prince Harry or Prince William. Mission success. Next, we have Juan Valentin Urdangarin y de Borbón's Spain's story. Born the 29th of September 1999, Juan is the grandson of the king, just like his cousin Froilán, and once held a decent spot in the Spanish line of succession. Much like the case of Froilán, Spain reserves the title of Infante or Infanta for children of the reigning monarch or grandchildren born through the monarch's sons. Juan is the son of the king's daughter, Infanta Cristina, so he doesn't qualify automatically for the title of Infante under this tradition. And unlike in the UK, Spain doesn't hand out courtesy royal titles just for being born cute or noble. His father, Iñaki Urdangarin, was a professional handball player, not a noble. So when he married Infanta Cristina in 1997, King Juan Carlos gave him the courtesy title of Duke of Palma de Mallorca. But that title was not hereditary. It was tied to Cristina's royal status, not Iñaki's lineage. After Iñaki's scandal, the couple was iced out and Cristina was stripped of the Duchess title in 2015. On top of that, Infanta Cristina and King Juan Carlos chose not to give titles to any of Cristina's children even before the scandals. Reason? Spanish monarchy was already shrinking its active royal circle and the goal was for Cristina's children to have private lives away from the royal spotlight. The next three royals, one lost his royal title for marrying wrong, another was born royal but cut out by law, and the third never had a chance, despite being a royal in our opinion. At number 9, we have Ingolf of Rosenborg. Denmark story. Ingolf was a prince of Denmark at birth and carried out his style His Royal Highness. At the time, his uncle, King Frederik IX, had no sons, only daughters, and Danish succession laws followed male preference primogeniture. Ingolf's father, Prince Knud, was the king's younger brother, and Ingolf was second in line to the throne. But in 1953, the Danish constitution was amended to allow for female succession as long as there was no eligible males. That meant that King Frederik IX's eldest daughter, Princess Margaret, jumped into the line in succession and became the heir presumptive, pushing Ingolf out of the succession spotlight. In 1968, Prince Ingolf married a commoner, Inga Turney, without requiring royal permission from the king. This broke a long-standing Danish tradition, and as a result, he lost the honorary titles that he received at his birth. He was given the courtesy title of Count of Rosenborg, which is typically used for former princes who married outside the rules. This is a formal demotion in the Danish royal system. He wasn't excommunicated, just here gently being downgraded to nobility. Today, Ingolf lives a quiet life, sometimes appearing at royal events, and remains a member of the extended Danish nobility, but not the official royal house of Glucksburg. He still receives media attention, but in Denmark, his role is symbolic and nostalgic, not constitutional or dynastic. Next, we have Bernardo, Federico, Thomas, Guillermo of the Netherlands story. Princess Christina, Bernardo's mother, was born a royal princess, but in 1975, she made a significant decision. She renounced her place in the line of succession and gave up her status as a member of the royal house before marrying George Guillermo. George Guillermo was a commoner, a Roman Catholic, and foreigner. Rather than cause political or public complications, Christina voluntarily withdrew from royal duties and constitutional relevance. The Dutch parliament formally accepted her decision, and as a result, Christina remained a royal family member but not a member of the royal house. Her marriage became private, not state-sanctioned or politically endorsed. Since Dutch law requires parliamentary approval for royal marriages if the spouse is to retain succession rights or if children are not born to the royal structure, her children are automatically excluded from royal titles. Under Dutch constitutional monarchy law, royal titles like Prince or Princess of the Netherlands are not automatically inherited, especially by descendants of female royals. One of those is the official royal house. The monarch, heir, and direct successors are granted such titles. Bernardo's mother opted out of the system entirely, so he didn't get the title. He was born a private citizen, despite his lineage. At number 7, we have Leah Isadora Behn of Norway's story. As of 2025, Leah is 7th in line to the throne in Norway, but she has no royal title. Norway follows a tight royal tilting structure where only the children of the monarch are granted royal titles, and in some cases, their male line grandchildren. Princess Martha Louise is the daughter of King Harald, but her children do not receive royal titles by default because the Norwegian royal house is small and streamlined. Her marriage to Ari Behn, a commoner, placed her outside the core circle of royals performing official duties. So from that start, Leah and her sisters were treated as private citizens, not royal dynasts. And additionally, in 2022, Princess Martha Louise made a significant decision. She renounced her style of Her Royal Highness and agreed to carry out no official royal duties. This was unprecedented in modern Norway. By doing this, she distanced herself from the royal house, declared her intent to live a more private entrepreneurial life, and lost the ability to pass on any royal status or titles to her future children. So when Leah was born in 2005, her mother was no longer a full-time working royal, and therefore Leah was never going to receive a title. Leah's dad, Ari Behn, was a civilian, no noble or royal lineage, and no title there. Hence, no title for her either. The next 3 were raised like royals, treated like royals, but a scandal, a loophole, and one bold decision stripped them of it all. Next, we have Jasmine Grace Grimaldi of Monaco's story. Jasmine was the result of a brief affair between Prince Albert and Tamara Ruotolo, who met while she was vacationing on the French Riviera in 1991. The affair was short-lived, and by the time Jasmine was born, Tamara had returned to the US. At first, Prince Albert did not publicly acknowledge paternity, but in 2006, when Jasmine was 14, he officially confirmed she was his daughter after a paternity test, and gave her the surname Grimaldi. But here's the royal catch. Under the Monegasque succession law, only legitimate children, i.e. those born within the recognition of marriage, are eligible for 3 things. 1. Titles, such as Prince and Princess, official membership in the House Grimaldi, and lastly, place in the line of succession. Since Jasmine was born outside of marriage, Prince Albert never married her mother, she is automatically excluded. Monaco's constitution and royal ordinances are among the strictest in Europe when it comes comes to public dynastic purity. Only children born to the sovereign and their spouses have legitimate heirs. Even if the sovereign acknowledges a child, that does not automatically grant royal status. The child must also be legitimized by marriage or formally adopted into the House of Grimaldi, neither of which happened in Jasmine's case. So even though she's acknowledged as the prince's daughter, she has no royal title. At number 5, we have Lady Louise Mountbatten Windsor's story. When their first child was born in 2003, Prince Edward and Sophie made a conscious decision. They asked Queen Elizabeth II that their children not be styled as prince or princess, but rather with courtesy titles associated with nobility, like the children of an earl or duke. Thus, Louise became Lady Louise Mountbatten Windsor, and her brother James was initially Viscount Severn and now Earl of Wessex. The Queen agreed but never legally revoked the HRH Princess, Princess, Prince status. The titles still exist in theory, just not in usage. Edward and Sophie wanted to shield their children from the intense pressure, scrutiny, and duties of being working royals, so the decision was less about rank and more about mental health and lifestyle. Then, around the 2000s, and especially after the death of Princess Diana, the royal family became increasingly aware of public criticism over the number of royals receiving public funding. Also, Queen Elizabeth and then Prince Charles pushed a, quote, slim-down monarchy strategy. It means fewer working royals and fewer HRHs. Lady Louise and her brother were born into this transitional era, not removed from royalty, but buffered from it. Technically, Lady Louise has every legal right to start using Princess Louise and the HRH style at any time. When she turned 18 in 2021, many speculated she might choose to do so, but she didn't. Next, we have Emma Francisca Catharina van Vollenhoven of the Netherlands story. Born on the 28th of November 2006 in Amsterdam to Princess Anita of Orange-Nassau and Prince Peter Christian of Orange-Nassau van Vollenhoven, Emma is royal by lineage, but she is not a princess and has no royal title, you might notice. When Emma's father, Prince Peter Christian, married Anita in 2005, they chose not to seek parliamentary approval of their marriage. And without that approval, their marriage was considered dynastically not approved, meaning Peter Christian lost his place in line of succession, and his children, including Emma, were officially excluded from succession and royal status. Dutch royal law states that children from non-approved royal marriages receive no royal titles or styles, but instead take their father's surname. So Emma is Mrs. van Vollenhoven and not Princess of Orange-Nassau. And since King William Alexander's succession in 2013, the royal house has been deliberately trimmed to include only the monarch, their heir, and their heirs' spouses and children. That means no room for extended family titles and claims, even among grandchildren from a royal princess. This is the reason Emma lacks royal titles or formal duties. She lives a, quote, normal Dutch life, like many cousins who dropped royal statuses themselves. However, she still appears at family events, but only as a relative, not an official royal, and this reflects the Dutch monarchy's modern vision, a royal lineage with minimal monarchy. The next three, one erased by history, one banned by law, and one denied it all just because of who his parents were. At number 3, we have Camille Marie Kelly Gottlieb of Monaco's story. According to Monaco's royal house law, only legitimate children born within marriage can be granted titles like prince or princess. They are also the only ones eligible for succession rights. Camille's mother, Princess Stephanie, was not married to Camille's father, Jean Raymond Gottlieb, at the time of her birth, and never married him later. Therefore, Camille was legally classified as illegitimate, as she was never legitimized by that marriage. Hence, she was automatically excluded from succession and royal titles. Though Camille is openly known to be the daughter of Jean Raymond Gottlieb, a former palace bodyguard, his name was not listed on the official birth certificate at the time of her birth. This made her, in legal terms, a child of unknown paternity. She was ineligible for any dynastic recognition. She was outside of the House of Grimaldi's family structure. Even though Jean later acknowledged her publicly and privately, that doesn't retroactively legitimize her under royal law. Unlike the UK, where King Charles can bestow titles on grandchildren even from non-royal mothers, Monaco has no provision for post-birth royal evaluation unless a royal marriage formally legitimizes the child, and that never happened for Camille. Even her half-siblings, who were legitimized after their parents' marriage, still weren't given titles because Monaco reserves titles mostly for descendants of reigning sovereigns through traditional dynastic marriages. Next, we have Leopold, Karl Radbot Gregor Graf von Habsburg story. After the fall of the monarchy in 1918, Austria passed a nobility law in 1919, making it illegal for Austrian citizens to use noble titles. That ban included Archduke, Graf, and even von, so legally Leopold can't use Archduke in Austria. While Austrian law bans titles, other countries allow them to exist as part of a surname. The House of Habsburg-Lorraine has formally maintained traditional titles when living abroad, but there's no official recognition or hereditary status. Leopold uses Graf von Habsburg or Count of Habsburg as a surname and not as a royal title. With the collapse of the empire in 1918, the Habsburgs became exiled royal families who had no throne to inherit. There was no empire to claim, no official court, and no legal framework to support dynastic titles. Leopold was never supposed to be prince under current political conditions. Those days ended over a century ago. Though he's not a recognized royal, Leopold and his siblings, like Felix Graf von Habsburg, maintain public profiles in Europe and occasionally participate in noble events, but none have official status. The Habsburg identity today is cultural and symbolic, not constitutional. Leopold is a true prince by lineage, imperial blood meant to produce royalty, but legal bans, historical shifts, and modern nationhood mean his royal title is a legacy and not a reality. And at number 1, we have Gregor von Vrintelen's story. Born August 13, 1972 to Countess Clotilde von Murenberg, Gregor von Vrintelens is a direct male line descendant of Prince Nicholas William of Nassau. Gregor should have been royal by blood, but due to the morganatic nature of his ancestral branch and legal definitions, he's a noble count today, not a prince. His grandfather, Count Gregor Nicholas's parents' marriage in 1868 was morganatic, meaning it didn't confer princely rank to offspring. Instead, Countess von Murenberg was established as a noble but no royal line. As a result, titles and rights did not pass down to his children. The line was permanently disqualified from dynastic succession in Nassau and Luxembourg. Even when Gregor Nicholas sought the Grand Ducal throne of Luxembourg, a 1907 law confirmed the exclusion of the Murenbergs from inheritance, solidifying their morganatic status. Then, Gregor's mother, Countess Clotilde, married Enno von Rintelen in 1965. Hence, their children, including Gregor, legally bear the name von Rintelen and hold count ranks as surnames, never royal titles. While Gregor is biologically part of the Nassau dynasty, he never had the right to use Prince of Nassau or Archduke. He is legally a count by surname only, a noble identifier, not a royal. So, he carries no succession rights to any throne. And with this, we end today's video. We'll be back with a new video shortly. Until then, happy watching and do subscribe to our channel if you still haven't.